Hi there, I'm Hasse Froberg and I'm the singer and guitar player in the Flower Kings and you're watching liveprog.
Welcome to liveprog. Welcome to a new video review, and the topic of this video review, you've seen the cover, I'll show it to you again, is Force Majeure, the 6th album by the Swedish band Brother Ape. I had the pleasure to review their previous album, A Rare Moment of Insight, as well, and if you look at liveprog.com and you do a little search, you will find it and you can check it out there. I noticed that Brother Ape is a band that does not repeat themselves. They don't, keep on hanging to a certain kind of music or a certain style or a certain genre. In fact, they kind of break free from their genre that they are associated with. Because yes, of course, this is a prog album, but at the same time, when I listen to this album, I don't hear just prog. As a matter of fact, if you look at a lot of new albums that are coming out these days, that what we call prog now doesn't sound like prog that I listened to 10 years ago or 20 years ago, So the music, fortunately, keeps on evolving, keeps on going forward and finding, new sounds and new, call it styles to express themselves with. And I like very much the musical path that Brother Ape has chosen. Although I say that, the band does not repeat themselves, I gotta be honest and tell you that when I was listening to this album, I do notice that they continue the path that I also heard on A Rare Moment of Insight. However, there's a lot of differences between these albums. Listening to this album, a few keywords that came to mind were drum and bass, poppy, and Muse. Now, of course, unrelated words, well, not unrelated, but again, the drum and bass is something I found in the rhythm section. I found something I've been hearing in a couple of other bands as well. They've been experimenting with more dance influences, which for some reason works very well in certain kinds of prog music. Same goes with this band. And again, they do it different than the other bands because they do it in their Brother Ape style, of course. Then the pop and the Muse thing. Let's start with the Muse thing. That's something I find very interesting. I was listening to the album and I was thinking, sounds a bit like Muse here. Why do I come up with that? Well, because it is getting more accessible, and I was thinking this music should get a lot bigger audience than just that prog niche that they are often in. They have an accessible sound, they have a more poppy sound, and I mean, if you look at a band like Muse, they are considered a pop band, but they have a massive following, they have big shows. At the same time, they are often linked with prog. I mean, The Resistance is an album that was reviewed by many prog websites and prog magazines, so there's this link there, and I see this kind of reverse link with this band, and I find that very interesting. Something else that I found interesting, but of course that's, crazy talk from me, don't pay attention to it, but Muse is a trio and Brother Ape is also a trio. Musicians, a trio, yes. Who do we have on this album? Now, I'll show you because I really like the CD here, because you get the idea of a vinyl, in your hands. I sometimes wonder why they do that. I mean, this is a CD, it's not a vinyl. I mean, vinyl is a lot bigger, but at the same time, hopefully, it kind of imprints the idea in the minds of people, listen to music on a physical carrier, on a CD or on an LP to get the best quality. Don't listen to any compressed digital downloads because you miss so much richness and fullness in the music. Okay, I was talking about the members. Gunnar Maxen, bass, keyboards and vocals. Max Bergman, drums and percussion. And Stefan Damicolas, vocals, lead vocals, keyboards and guitars.
All the battleships are ready.
If you've been following liveprog and if you know me, you know I find very important. In my reviews I don't go into the technical details of an album for the simple reason I am not a musician. And I don't know about that. But what I do know is that when I have a CD, I put it in my CD player and I start listening to it, I expect something. I expect that it entertains me. I expect that it gives me a certain feeling. That it conveys a certain emotion or creates a certain atmosphere. Well, that is something that this album definitely does. It does create an atmosphere. And I've been sitting behind my computer preparing this review, wondering, you know, how am I going to express this atmosphere? How am I going to tell you? Because an atmosphere is often something you feel, you experience. But I found a perfect example, a perfect metaphor to show it to you. I was looking outside the window and was looking and I figured, you know, I mean, it is September 13th, it's Friday the 13th. Yes, it's a very bad day, but here I am, very brave, recording a review. I was looking outside my window and I was realizing, you know, it is still summer, according to the calendar. But when I look outside, it doesn't feel like summer. It's gray, it's dreary, it's a bit rainy. And I realized, you know, summer is over. You know, there's no more barbecue days, no more sunny days, no more lying on the beach. It's time to get out the coats and the umbrellas. It's gonna get darker in the day. And that realization made me go back to the music. And that was the point where I figured, you know, that is exactly the atmosphere that I feel when I listen to this album. Of course, we still have some sunshine and some bright days. And that's also in this album. Of course, you have some nice and bright songs. I mean, it's not that the entire album is really depressed or something. But there's this underlying current, this just under the surface, this feeling of melancholy that you find in the music. And sometimes it comes out and takes over the song, but sometimes the song is more, a bit happier, a bit brighter, a bit poppier. Poppier, wow, okay, that is one song that definitely shows the poppy side of Brother Ape, and that is track number 4, Doing Just Fine. Because it starts with this really happy melody and then you have that whistling in it, you know, that puts a smile on your face, you know, that is one of those brighter moments on the album. But it also has some, I mean, we're not just talking about happy songs, there are a few other elements to be found in this album as well, and not just the bright and the melancholic, but also some more electronic sounding songs. I mean, the opening track of the album, Entry, is more like an intro to the rest of the music. But a brave step, by the way. Force Majeure, the title track, the second track on the album, is an instrumental track. Now, as I said, you know, I find it brave, you know, make the title track instrumental. That is a very electronic sounding song. And then it moves over, you know, it kind of shapes the anticipation for the rest of the album, and it gives you an idea what kind of atmosphere will you expect on this album. And then you have the third track, The Mirror, and there we finally have the vocal, Stefan Damicolas. You know, I was waiting for that moment for him to come out and sing, because I really love his voice. I think Stefan Damicolas has a very unique voice that really fits with the atmospheres you find on the albums of Brother Ape.
And 100 voices are calling, it's time now. I'm coming home tomorrow. It's so hard to believe it.
Poppy songs, like Doing Just Fine. We have electronic sounding songs. We have, of course, the more progressive songs. A few other tracks that really stood out for me were the last two tracks, track number 9, The Spanish Prisoner, because that starts with a beautiful acoustic guitar, and that song has beautiful harmony vocals by Stefan Damicolas and Gunnar Maxen, and I like that very much. And again, it creates a different sound, a different atmosphere, but on the whole it feels very much as the atmosphere I mentioned, you know, with these sunny and bright bits here and there. And the last track, again, you know, couldn't be more appropriate for the atmosphere I told you, After the Rain. That track, I like the way how it starts, you know, mentioning the vinyl idea. You have that in that song very much, because when the song starts, you have the idea that they're putting the needle on the record, and you have these crackles, and then you have that song. But again, that is a very beautiful, very melancholic song, and I say a very worthy ending of the album. However, when that album is ending, you know, and then all of a sudden it's quiet in the room, it's silent, and that when that happens, and especially when you're alone in the room and you're, you know, busy doing something, and you have the album on and the album is ending, then you realize all of a sudden that it's quiet, and then, you know, you want to have that feeling back again, so you press play again and you go back to the album. At least that's what happened to me, and I really hope that that's the effect this album will have on you when you listen to it. The rhythm section, Gunnar Maxen and Max Bergmans, they really work together very well, and they give the album this very beautiful, rich sound, this warm sound, and that is a sound that when you start compressing this music, you cut off of that fullness and the richness of that music, and that will be a shame. You know, the youth these days, they don't care about quality music anymore. Fortunately, the band put a lot of effort in making sure that the album sounds very good. The songs are well composed, the songs are absolutely well performed, but the album is also well produced. And when you listen to it on a decent stereo, you hear how well this album sounds and how well the band can bring these atmospheres through your speakers into your room. That is the power of Brother Ape. Now, of course, I am very curious where their path will take them next, but for now, I would say, you know, dip yourself into the melancholic, beautiful atmospheres of Brother Ape in Force